Hello, very good evening, Indian family. Hi, I hope you all are well. Hamas Siddiqui from Toronto. Yet again, a beautiful show for you. Every 15 days, we bring in this show in which I and my friend Brent Edwards we speak and we share our thoughts on how newcomers should work around their efforts toward finding an opportunity or opportunities in Canada. So, without any further delay, I would like to bring Brent with me, and today is a special day. We will have a guest who is a new immigrant, and we will ask him about his challenges and how is he dealing with those challenges. So, welcome, Brent. Hi, Brent. Good evening. Your mic is not working, Brent. Your mic is not working. I don't know. No, your mic is not working. No, still not working. No, I don't know. I think if you get out and come back again, and then it may work. Yeah. So I'll just put you. I'll just put you. Yeah. Uh, we have uh, we have Mavia joining in. Good evening, Mavia. We have Sonam joining in. Good evening. Hey, Sonam, are you in Canada? I remember meeting you a long time ago at ICAP, ICAP event. I think it was 2016 or something in Karachi. We've been following each other, but great to see you here on live. And anybody who's joining in, please introduce yourself, and we will recognize you. Anju, thank you very much for joining in. Anju is a great person to follow. I would request everyone in this group to follow each other because that's an opportunity to connect. And we have, oh, all right, Mavia from London, Ontario. Ishtiaq, hello, Ishtiaq, how are you? Where are you joining in from? We have Akbar joining in. Hello, Akbar. Good to see. Good to see quite a few friends here. And while while we are waiting for Brent Edwards to join in, just very briefly for those who are joining in for the first time, Brent and myself, we bring in these live sessions every 15 days. I call it fortnight. Um, every 15 days for our LinkedIn family to understand how they can network and reinvent their careers in Canada. Akbar is all right. Akbar from Barry, all right. How is Barry? How is weather there? We had like nice spell of sun and warm weather for the past couple of days, and hopefully it's going to continue. We have early winter, early we had small winter and early spring this time around. And today we have a special guest with us, Shehzad, who is, I think, no longer a new immigrant, but relatively new, and he is a phenomenal person to follow. He is a marketeer, and he has worked for many major global brands. Um, Very recently, um, he uh, he interacted with me a few months ago, and he was my client, and we became friends and the family friends with Shahzad and Shahzad's family. So I'm not sure what's wrong with Brent's microphone, but let's keep recognizing people who are commenting. Sonam, all right. So Sonam, great, excellent, excellent. Yes, it's good to see you here, and probably we can. We can chat offline also. Um, and Anju, yes, she is a new immigrant too, and she lives. 11 month is quite a time. You have seen 2 winters. That means, and yeah, so we have to be very strategic. All right, we have Brent back. Let me just add him to stream. Hey,
Okay.
Brent. All
Hey,
right.
Hamad.
Oh yeah, it's working.
I was
Technology.
I wasn't trying to go for a dramatic entrance. I felt that
Yeah.
like was it back in the old silent movie days, back in the 1920s as opposed to the 2020s. So sorry about that.
No, I think technology,
Anyway, it's
technology sucks at times.
somebody always has a mic problem at some
Yes.
point on a Zoom call. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much. Very good evening to you. Thanks for joining in. And I was just telling the audience, and so we have some very interesting people joining in, fellows from LinkedIn, and someone who actually was a fresh chartered accountant in Pakistan, Sonam Devi.
oh
And
well,
she remembered, I mean, I remember her because we've been following each other on Facebook, a young girl who just qualified, and I presented something interesting about career in Karachi with a group of,
oh
I
no
think, about
kidding.
400 500 people in
Yeah.
that room, the young qualified chartered accountants. So she's moved to Toronto.
Oh no
Welcome,
kidding. Wow.
welcome,
It's
welcome to
good.
Toronto, Sona.
Small world. Small world, as they say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Ashley, all right, Ashley, you are a CMA finalist. You have recently moved to Canada. I'm sure you will gain a lot of benefit from these discussions. Brent, of course, has been. I mean, he was born and raised in Canada, and
Yeah, I was born. Yeah, out in well, I was actually born in Montreal, but grew up in the West Coast in Vancouver, and
yes,
the business culture in Vancouver's. There's definitely similarities with Greater Toronto area, but there's definitely differences in terms of how people build and establish relationships. And there's,
absolutely,
Vancouver's kind of a place where people, if you ask them what they're doing, this is again pre-COVID, it's all focused on the outdoors, and Toronto is very much more of an indoor city. So there's definite cultural differences in terms of how people interact.
yeah. So we have some interesting following today on our show, which is great. And
Mhm.
I hope you all will keep coming back, and you all will speak to other people who are interested and who are newcomers looking for opportunities and may not be that new in the market but do not really understand the job search dynamics, or maybe interested in starting their own businesses and is
Mhm.
struggling, where Brent's role comes in for job search and for
And
LinkedIn
people
and
who want to be self-employed,
yes,
that's
yeah,
something people are
absolutely,
considering. So definitely
absolutely,
could help them there
absolutely.
as well.
Wonderful. So, Brent, we have Shazad. She is waiting in the waiting room.
In the wings, as they say, yes,
Backstage. We will bring him in a couple of minutes.
sure.
But I think let's start discussing today's topic. And this is now we have vaccine hopefully available, and some regions in GTA have opened up, or
Hmm.
are gradually opening up. Um, and this is perhaps the opportunity. Pre-COVID, we used to meet over coffee, and we used to talk to people and interact with them. What do you think people should aim at? How they should really be preparing themselves to going back to somewhat old normal?
Yeah, I think I guess we'll take guidance from the public health officials in terms of what we should be doing. They're ones who definitely know best. I think that what we want to start considering is, you know, where are you going to go to meet people, and where in a lot of cases it's still going to be online. Um, so Hamad's the expert on LinkedIn, and there's so many different aspects of LinkedIn and groups, which I'm sure he can talk to. But I guess I want to think about, like, outside of the LinkedIn platform, where else can you go to meet people? And it's just interesting today. I mean, I was at a business show a networking show earlier today in Glasgow, Scotland.
Mm.
It was the Strathclyde business show. I know some people who were speaking there, and I was one of the, I guess the only Canadians at the event. But there are all kinds of, there's business shows, there's meetups, there's associations who are having conferences, there's different boards of trade, there's different chambers, there's all kinds of different events that are going on. And I think part of it's your strategy in terms of who do you want to meet, who do you want for them to know you, because it's not really so much who you know, it's who knows you, who knows what you can do, who could actually act as speak on your behalf and advocate on your behalf. So really a lot of it is finding these other places. Like we know before the pandemic, there were about 25,000 different events in the Greater Toronto area each year, 8,000 alone in Toronto. A lot of those are online now. And what other events are you going to? I went to a small business event earlier this week, which is held specifically for the GTA for small business people. A lot of different people on different career paths, a lot of interesting backgrounds. Again, a great networking opportunity. So that's kind of where are you going next to meet people? Hamad, what are your thoughts in terms of maybe LinkedIn as a platform to find new people to meet?
Yeah, I think there has to be a starting point, and we have discussed this before also that when we land, one of the biggest, I would say, I mean, loss and the opportunity both, is that we lose all our social capital. We hardly know anyone, maybe few friends or connections, but they all are busy also. They may be from a different profession, and Canada being a very specialized society, people like to hang around with the people within that profession only. At least that's what my observation has been. So if you're an automotive engineer, maybe you will hang around with people who are within the automotive industry. This is how things move on, and it's a very cosmopolitan and it's very family-oriented society. So what you need to do is to start identifying those people that you really want to connect with. And one of the mistakes that I strongly recommend people should avoid is to immediately seek help. You know, you should build trust, you should build relationship, maybe using LinkedIn, maybe getting opportunity, such as you just mentioned, going on webinars, and on that webinars you can connect with people, because those people who are joining in the webinar are the people who are socially connected or willing to connect socially. And LinkedIn really provides a fascinating opportunity with list of webinars happening tomorrow. You will find a
Oh,
huge list.
so it's unreal. I mean, the number of groups that are available and the LinkedIn training that's on, it's
Yes,
just so many
absolutely.
different discussion groups.
Yeah. So start with that. I think, as I always say, that if you're looking for a job, finding a job is a full-time job. So spend like strategy, define strategically what you really want to do, and implement that. And same thing goes, I think, for the business networking also, Brent.
Yeah, in terms of if you have a business, you're looking to start a business, you're self-employed. Um, you really, I mean, you're going out to network with people. There's people who are networking for career development. But you've also have people who are looking to network because they want to be basically promoting and so people understand about their business. Other people are going out because they're really looking to find collaborators and people they could work with and partner with and suppliers. And then there's other people who are looking for customers and referral opportunities. And a lot of it depends on what stage you're at in your business. But whether you're advancing your career, want to stay in the same field, change sectors, start your own business, the whole idea about being, networking and also using the technology tools that are available and the platforms, that people prefer, like LinkedIn, you've got to get really proficient at it.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that you should wait until you think things are perfect to get out there and meet people. It's about building relationships, and I would caution people to not wait till they feel everything is perfect before they start approaching people and starting to build those relationships. It's a fine
Absolutely.
balance.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And LinkedIn produces some fascinating reports. Unfortunately, not many people actually look for those reports. And recently, they came out with this list of companies that are hiring. So anybody, uh, bless you, anybody who is, uh, your mic is gone again.
No, on purpose because people
All
didn't
right,
want to
all
hear
right.
that. I
Okay.
wake up. We go camping. Sorry, I got this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We went camping in Rhode Island once, and I sneezed in the middle of the night, and someone
yeah,
5 campsites away yelled "Bless you!" Like
yeah,
it's you don't want to hear it. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead, Hamad.
So what I was saying that this is the opportunity for us to seek people or identify people who can then help us later on. So immigrants really need to focus on a strategy, and often that strategy is the biggest missing link. And I was talking to this evening only to an IT guy. I mean, think about it, an information technology guy jobless for the past 6 months. I mean,
Wow.
I don't buy it. I mean, at any given point in time,
Mhm.
there are 5 to 6 thousand IT related jobs available in GTA. This is a
Mhm.
number that a friend of mine who is an IT recruiter told me, and they're always looking for people. So if this guy is out of job, there must be something wrong. And the wrong thing was that he didn't have a strategy. He
Wow.
didn't have a strategy. So he was just like firefighting kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
we are already almost 20 minutes in the show, and Shazad is waiting for us. Let's
Sure.
bring Shazad on, and
Sure.
we will add spice to this discussion. Shazad is
Yes.
adding spice.
Absolutely. No more sneezing.
Hey,
Promise.
Shazad.
Hey Brent, hey Hamad, how are you guys?
Hi, Shazad.
Great.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being a loyal viewer,
Pleasure.
and thanks for volunteering to come on the show. I think you and Hamad know each other, known each other for a
Few
while.
months, for a few
Yeah,
months, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I had
So
Go
I
ahead.
think we are connected, Brent. I think we are connected on
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
yeah,
Yeah,
we are.
yeah.
I had just a couple of questions just kind of start with, and
Sure.
maybe if you can just tell us a little bit about your journey. I noticed that you went to school at the University of Washington in Seattle, which is pretty close to where I grew up in Vancouver, and you also were in Indianapolis. So I'm curious about just a little bit about your journey in Kuwait and how you ended up in Toronto.
Okay, that's a loaded question. Yeah? So I was born and brought up in Kuwait. Went to high school there. Spent a couple of years in Cyprus. Did my associate degree over there from the University of Indianapolis, which had a campus there. This is in 1988.
Hmm.
They had opened up the Middle East campus there. After which I transferred to the US
Okay.
in 1991. In 1990, I got stuck in the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. I was
Wow.
there on a holiday, so it was a long holiday.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
must have been jeez. Wow.
so that's a whole different experience, a whole different
Yes.
story. So yeah, 1991, I got to Indianapolis in January, freezing weather. I had no concept of what cold was. I landed in Boston. It was minus 45 Fahrenheit,
Wow.
and I had no concept, what minus 45 feels like. So it was a shocker,
Yes.
to
Yes,
say
I can
the least.
imagine. Yep.
I spent a few years in Indianapolis from 91 all the way to 93. I got my BSc in International Business and Marketing from the University of Indianapolis. I
Yep.
learned a lot in that school. I did multiple internships. I worked for AT&T. I worked for the communication center over there, and I worked for the university as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was juggling between work and school. I was there on a scholarship, so I had to maintain my grades.
Oh wow.
It was an interesting experience.
Hmm.
After which I moved back to Kuwait to where
Okay.
my family was, and started working there for Ericsson.
Yes.
Thanks to AT&T's experience, I got picked up by Ericsson. It
Okay.
was an extremely challenging experience. In Ericsson, I grew. I joined as a salesperson, and I ended up being the key account manager for one of the largest operators in the Middle East. Yeah,
Wow. That's
and
interesting.
thanks to them, yeah, it was very interesting. I got to spend a lot of time in Stockholm.
Oh, yes.
A lot of time because purely Ericsson is a Swedish company,
Of
and
course.
even though we're dealing with the Middle East, all deals are
I'm
done
sure
in.
Stockholm, it's great, great city.
I love that city. I could go back there anytime, and we've gone back there a few times. Yeah. I did my master's from the Washington University in during my time in Ericsson. Actually, Ericsson sponsored it. They helped me out to do that course. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
And Ericsson actually did a lot of investment in me. I did the leadership course curriculum for Ericsson as an
Yeah.
identified leader.
Wow.
And then I started working. I left the telecom industry and I joined luxury retail. So
Okay.
I was dealing with the brands from the Richmond Group, LVMH, Swatch Group.
Where
I
Louis
did that for
Vuitton
10 years.
likes. Yeah.
So LVMH Group, we were handling their watches. So we had Hublot watches, Zenith watches.
Oh, wow.
And Richmond, of course, was the Cartier, the Piagets, the IWCs.
Wow.
Swatch Group, everyone knows, is the Omegas, the
Yes,
Tissot's.
absolutely.
So I got to deal with all of them. Spent a lot of time in Switzerland as well, thanks to being in the watch world, and a lot of time in France as well because of the
Hmm.
jewelry. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah. So,
Then
oh,
what brought me to Canada?
oh, well, I guess so you've arrived in Canada, and I guess I'm curious in terms of because you've had experience in you've mentioned Kuwait and France and Switzerland and the United States and
Yeah,
Sweden. You've been exposed and had to work in a lot of different cultures. So
exactly.
I'm kind of curious that so you're in Canada now. You're in the GTA. What what differences or if any have you noticed in terms of doing business in Canada versus, say, so say the United States, which is right next door to us.
Yeah. So United States, actually, I've also done a lot of work with people don't like them, but I've done a lot of work with the Trump organization, specifically with Ivanka Trump. I've spent
Hmm.
quite some time handling her brands as well. So I
Okay.
think the key difference working in all these countries, I've spent a lot of time in Sweden, Switzerland. I've also
Hmm.
spent time in Asia. I've done a lot of time in Hong Kong. I used to
Wow.
also work with Samsonite, yeah,
Yeah.
whose
Yeah.
headquarters are in Hong Kong for the region.
Sure.
The hardest thing I've felt here was breaking into the professional world. They
Mm.
always come down to you're either overqualified. They say it in a nice way. They don't actually say it to your face, of course.
Mm.
And they always question you don't have Canadian experience.
Wow.
And
Even with having worked in all these
exactly.
markets around the world, uh, well-known brand names, retailers, telecom, interests. Wow.
Yeah. So I work with likes of Ericsson. Ericsson is
Oh,
renowned everywhere in the world. Yeah. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so is LVMH and the Omegas and the
Oh,
Cartiers. Everybody knows them.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for me, if you can work with the French, you can work with anybody. They
I'll,
were the hardest people to work with.
I'll,
They are not easy to work with.
yeah, every market's got definite
It's challenging.
challenges
It's
for sure,
challenging.
for
Yeah,
sure.
but for me, they were the most challenging people to work with.
Mm,
I think the easiest people were the Swedish. I mean, they are so welcoming, so open, and they're so transparent. Eh?
interesting. So,
It's
and so I guess beyond the Canadian experience, is there like what has stood out for you in terms of how relationships are built in Canada, and if that is similar or different from what you've seen before.
so it's very similar. When I first came in, I knew a few people. Uh, One of them is on this chat. His name is Sanjay. He's here. I saw him pop up there, and he introduced me to some very interesting people. Yeah, there he is, Sanjay
Oh, there
Puri.
he is. Okay, hey, it's
There he
Sanjay.
is.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So he introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Dr. Yusuf from Humber College, and that's where I got my first opportunity to do a volunteer position with
Wow.
the Chartered Institute of Marketing Management of Ontario.
Mm. And I
So
hear that
I've learned a lot.
things have gone pretty well for you. I think you've got a more senior role within that organization now.
Yeah, it's a volunteer role. It's a very very interesting role. I've gotten to meet a lot of very very effective people. People who are excellent communicators. I've helped them expand. We've helped them open up their first office in the Middle East. So we're expanding outward. It's an amazing experience, and I actually dragged Hamad into it as well, and a few of my other friends too. So
probably
you know,
probably willingly. Will you dragged him in willingly? I'm sure. So
yeah, it was willing. Another very interesting person I've met through LinkedIn, and that's thanks to
Mhm.
Hamad and his LinkedIn training that I've gotten from him, is a lady by the name of Mitch, and I think Hamad is also in touch with her now, and she's been doing a lot of explaining to many newcomers, and I encourage newcomers to look her up on LinkedIn, and she gives you a lot of insight into the Canadian market, the job market. I know the job market is tough, with
Mhm.
over 9% unemployment,
Sure.
uh, and us coming from the outside, where there are so many people inside looking for work. It does make it more challenging. Well, it's a challenge, and like I told Hamad, I'm gonna grab the bull by its horns. Yeah? So
Hmm.
there
Absolutely.
is no stopping me.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
This is
Go
exactly
ahead.
what
Go ahead, Ahmad.
Yeah, this is exactly what I recommend, is to be strategic, instead of wasting your energy. Um, if you're strategic, then gradually things will start unfolding for yourself. Be it being self-employed, and in fact, I was the other day I was convincing Shazad to start his own consultancy. I mean, the kind of expertise he brings in branding and marketing. I would not like to work for anyone for 60, 70, $80,000 and kind of put myself in the milling machine again. I've done it for 35, 36 years
Mhm.
already. Start your own thing. I think Canada being a large market for small and medium businesses that require these services, and that require connectivity. A lot of these exporters, startups, they all need this connectivity outside Canada. And I mean, allow me to say that Canadians, generally speaking, are very inward looking. Whichever business I have worked with so far, they only have .ca domain. I mean, they don't have .com domain,
.com.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I always tell them, and there is one that I'm working these days now. I'm trying to convince this guy. I mean, you have got the talent. I mean, you are producing outstanding, creative videos in the healthcare sector. And why are you looking inward? Like, why are you looking within Canada only, which is more tough competition? Being as a Canadian market, you can tap into the opportunities that are outside Canada also. So it's very difficult. I think people are really looking inward, and this is the opportunity for people like me and you, Brent and Shazad, to convince them to work with partners outside Canada, which is a much larger market. I mean, just next door,
Yeah.
even the US market, which is much more easier as compared to the Canadian market.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's a big world out there. I mean, I'm already trying to introduce, companies which are based in Kuwait to start opening up here in Canada.
Yeah,
And we actually have a call tomorrow with a company who wants to come to Canada, but they just don't know how to. They don't know if it's welcoming, is it easy? There's no information out there.
yeah,
Interesting. Or there's no information, or sometimes there's so much
yeah.
information to wade through.
Filtration, yes. Filtration, yeah.
Absolutely. So if you had, you know, if you were to go back before you came to Canada, and there was kind of one piece of advice you wish you'd had before you arrived, what would that have been?
I would say my piece of advice would be to actually build your network before you come here. Get onto LinkedIn, get onto whatever medium you think works for you, and build that network. Because when you come here, you need to hit the ground running.
Hmm.
And thanks a lot to Sanjay who helped me do that. Hamad is helping me do that. It really, gets you moving.
Mm,
Yeah. And thanks to LinkedIn, I've met another very nice Canadian gentleman by the name of Dicky. He's a very nice guy. I mean, he's supporting me. So
wonderful. But it sounds like it's, do the work before, there's all kinds of work
do
before you get here,
due
but
diligence, due
do the
diligence.
networking. Due diligence,
Yeah,
interesting.
due diligence. Yeah, do your
Mm.
due diligence very carefully. There are a lot of people out there giving wrong information.
It's interesting. I guess where did you look before you came here? Where did you look for information, or where did you wish you had looked in
So
terms
I
of
think
resources?
I wish I'd looked more into LinkedIn. I relied on my friends who gave me the right information. But
Hmm.
if I had more information and I would have come better prepared, my LinkedIn profile would look different as soon as I got in. I would have a different set of resumes. The other institute that helped me a lot here is Triac. Uh,
Triac is one wonderful
Amazing,
organization. Yeah. Hmm.
amazing. They hooked me up with a mentor. It was great.
Interesting. So it sounds like it's kind of going back to the scout model about be prepared, but you know, being prepared in a way that you're, like you said, hit the ground running, so that you're not starting to build once you've got here. You've already done some of that.
You got to do your best. I know it's not, you can't, you can't come 100% prepared, but
Yeah.
one is better than zero, right? So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And again, I would think you're building a network before you even come here is really really important, and uh, often people don't focus on that. Very few people try to focus on that and how relevant that network is. For instance, um, if you're an accountant and if you do not have a network with accountants, you would not easily understand how the market would behave when you come here and how do you apply for those jobs.
Hmm.
I've known people who have come with like chartered accountant qualifications from India and Pakistan and worked as bookkeepers for years before they did their CPAs and went on for jobs. But why? I mean, you have the experience. You're a qualified chartered accountant, which is an international qualification.
Yeah.
If you had that network, if you know that there
Hmm.
are these opportunities, and this is how you target those opportunities.
Yeah.
Particularly as we discussed in the previous sessions, also, North America is a market for recruiters. Recruiters, easiest way to tap into job opportunities is through recruiters and headhunters. Um, Now, how many immigrants? You spend tons of money coming here. You make an effort. You leave your jobs, your home, your some of
it's a
some,
culture shock. It is
yeah,
a culture shock. Yeah?
yeah. So I mean, you have to be prepared for that. But the thing is that you do not spend small sum of money in those tools that would help you
Mm.
survive in that environment of
I think people miss out on that. Yeah. I mean, just
yeah,
imagine that before you come here, you actually get onto the Triac website
yeah,
and you see what they offer you, and many of your questions will be answered there. But who knows of Triac? Who
Yeah.
actually talks about it?
yeah.
Yeah. As we do, and Triac and New Canadians, and there's a lot of that,
Yeah.
and I think
But
that
people outside don't know it, right? People
no,
outside don't know it. And I think
no.
that's the message we need to get out there is that,
Oh, there's some
get onto
amazing.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that um, be, because you've had experience in North America through university in Indianapolis, and doing it overseas, but then doing it in the States, and then being in Washington State. Um, uh, Even with being in North America, it's still been a culture shock for you, to coming to Canada as well. So I
So do
think,
you actually feel that Canada and the US are the same? I think they're very, very different.
Very different.
I
They're
think
very
that's
different.
putting the fine point on it is.
Yeah,
But I wonder if people, some people's impressions before they come
exactly.
over is
It's the same.
it's the same, and it's a bit of a shock when they find out
It's very different.
it's different. What's been the biggest difference you've seen?
I've seen that the Americans are much more communicative and they're very open to giving people an opportunity. No one ever asked me American experience.
Interesting.
No one ever even talks about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my thinking on this is that there are certain terminologies which just become buzzwords. I think this. Look at GTA. So cosmopolitan. Wherever you go, you find people who are from different nationalities, right?
Absolutely.
Who were immigrants, or their parents were immigrants, and so it is a cosmopolitan society. So I
Yeah.
mean, thinking about, so this Canadian experience thing is, we need to really advocate. I mean, wherever there is an opportunity with a chamber friend, with our network, we
This
should
needs to be removed. Yeah. This needs to
we
be
should be
removed.
talking about it. What you need is a solution provider. If you
Yeah.
have a solution provider, then, well, I mean, this is what you need. I mean, you need a human being who
So
comes in and fix your issues.
I have a friend over here who I made over LinkedIn. His name is David Hickey. Yeah? And I actually asked him, "What do you think about Canadian experience?" Saying that they're just using that as an excuse because they cannot understand your experience. It's too vast.
Interesting.
So his thing is that you come with so much experience that they actually take a step back.
And remember, Shazad, what I said, when we were talking about it, when we initially started speaking about it, I said, Shazad, don't talk about your experience, because your experience is meaningless for people. So somebody I was working with, who came from Aramco, for instance, he was a
Oh,
very senior
Ramco.
guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Aramco.
Hmm.
Now, how many people in Canada would actually know
That
what
Ramco
is
is one of the
Aramco?
biggest oil companies in the world.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah, it's. I think
well,
many should know.
now
yeah,
if you were in Alberta
they
You would
would.
or
know.
Yeah,
Labrador, they would know.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
They would know.
yeah.
they would know.
So,
Yes,
yeah,
So it's
exactly.
what. So it's what. So again, Canada being so vast,
Yes,
so it's
correct.
we're all kind of based in the Greater Toronto area, but this country, there's not
It's
as many
huge.
people, but it's huge in terms of the differences, and I think
yes.
it's where people are landing, and is it a good fit for some of their experiences? But that's probably a
I have
different.
an idea, wearing my advocacy hat on, this is something that which I'd been doing in so many countries. If we start writing about this issue, on social media, gradually people would know. I mean, obviously, people are talking about it, but people are not writing about it. So if we keep saying that there is nothing called Canadian experience, there is no Canadian experience. If you're a marketeer, you're a marketeer. You can sell Pepsi, you can sell a Samsonite. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
You need
and
to know how to
if you can
sell.
sell Samsonite in Asia, you can sell Samsonite in Canada, because you know what?
Absolutely.
It's the same customer base.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same target
So
customer base.
yeah,
So
so it's the value that a person brings in on the table, really. And ideally, in the market, for those people who are with us still in the show, try to sell your skills. Your skill set is more important. So your skill set, Canadian employer would understand what you're talking about. If you talk about your experience, they can't really relate to it. If I mean, put
so
yourself in
so
their shoes.
here's the problem, Hamad. Right? When
Yeah.
you send your CV, if you don't talk about your experience, you don't get the interview. But when you talk
Mm.
about your experience, they feel that you're over experienced outside of Canada. Then you don't get the chance to explain your skills to them.
Mm,
Right?
So
It's a
I
very
think,
it's yeah.
bit of a
It's a chicken
cat.
and egg situation.
It's called a catch-22. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
or the chicken and egg, right? Catch
But
22,
again,
chicken and egg.
again, coming back to the same point which we discussed like 10 minutes ago, is if you have a network, if people know you,
Yeah.
you know people, then that communication bridge
Channels
is
open up.
almost,
Yes,
you are there to communicate with someone.
And they can
I
also provide coaching on how
Oh
to
yeah,
position your experience
correct.
and your
yeah,
skills, and because part of it I think is there's all these business culture. There's the national business culture, the province, the community who happen to be in. There's also the organization, the culture of the organization you're applying to, and also the individuals. Like it's kind of a bit of a ladder of understanding what to bring to the forefront. I think we've got another question from the audience.
uh, I
So let's try
think
to break down this.
this is a statement from Sanjay that he last four hires in his department have been recent immigrants. And you see, I mean, we all work, like Brent works with new immigrants. I work with a lot of new immigrants. They all struggle but they all are ready to take the challenge, and this is the key thing.
Yeah.
And once they get the challenge, they hit the ground running.
Okay.
I know someone who was in supply chain, very senior guy. He came here, initially again what we call the immigrants call survival jobs. Then he worked with me on his profile, and he got a job in his own field, which was supply chain. And would you believe today he sent me a message after like 6 7 months he got a job in Home Depot. So in Home Depot he is in supply chain
In
now.
supply chain at Home Depot.
Right. So if
Wonderful.
he,
Okay.
so even if he's like not at that senior level, but I
Yep.
know he will make his way up because he knows what he's doing. And
Yeah.
You just need to get in the window, right? That's it.
yes, yeah. So that's what he did. Another client of mine, he's an engineer. He came here in the automotive sectors and he knew that it will be difficult. So he started working on casual jobs, engineering related, just to
Mhm.
understand the culture. What is the lingo that engineers use or
Yes.
the technicians use? Then he
Yes.
worked for an automotive supplier.
Okay.
And he said, Hamad, in 1 month I visited 100 outlets just
Wow.
to learn how these outlets work. And there were so many issues with those outlets because this guy has been like doing some phenomenal work outside Canada.
Yes.
And
Yes.
He knows the ins and out, right? I mean,
exactly. So, and he found job at Canadian Tire because they were looking for someone who could manage one of the one of the thing that it was related to automotive thing.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so if you have the skills and the will to start
Yeah.
experiencing how
There.
things work in the local market,
It's understanding that, like you said, it's a local market.
yeah,
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 It and how it what the dynamics are in terms of who the buyers are and who's making purchasing
yeah,
decisions and
correct.
who
Yeah.
the customers are and why do they make decisions the way that they do and how's that different from what you're used to. And once
exactly,
you can get your head, get your hands around that, then
yeah.
thing, things could really start to happen.
Great.
Yeah.
So very insightful conversation, and this conversation can go on for hours.
Yeah, we can be
Uh,
here for a very long time. So.
yeah. So, but it's really exciting to hear from a new immigrant who's been here only for 11 months, seen 2 winters already. So you are not that inexperienced.
One and a
Um,
half winter. We got here
yeah.
in April at the end of winter. So,
Yes. Yeah. April
but
is April is
but
spread already.
I have good experience with Indianapolis. So
Yeah.
Yes, or Boston, as you said.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
just a call note from my friend here's Alina. Good strategy to display our experiences by describing our transferable skills in a cover letter.
Yes.
Thanks,
absolutely.
thanks, Melina.
Absolutely. And I suggest, jump into volunteering opportunities. There are tons of it. And
I mean, that's what I did, right? I mean, I'm in a
yeah, yeah,
volunteer opportunity,
exactly.
and
Oh, yeah. And actually, that keeps you, this is so fulfilling also because Shazad and myself, we are both working for SEMO. We spend a couple of hours every week trying to help them do more, better, more fascinating. And SEMO is an organization, this is the only
And this is INSIMO stands for
chartered institute
Chartered Institute of
marketing and
Chartered
management
Institute of
Ontario.
Marketing Management of Ontario.
there
Ontario,
we go.
and that's the chartered institute, which means the chartered from the government of Ontario. And a lot of stuff is needed. They need a lot of help from people like us, and we're volunteering. I started when I came. I started volunteering with Jumpstart Refugees Canada, for instance. Spending my own time and money to go to downtown Toronto from Ajax to
Wow.
help immigrants, right? Help these
Yes.
refugees who come here. But it was fulfilling. So I
Yes.
think the money
Absolutely.
will come. Money will follow you if you
Yes.
have
It's not about the money. It's about people accepting you. That's it.
exactly. So they will. You see, the
Yeah.
network I
It's not the
have.
money. I mean, it's not about the money, and that's what I keep
Right.
telling people. It's not whether you make 75, 85, 95. It's only a number end of the day. But
Yeah.
once you're in and people accept you, they understand your value, and I think that is very critical.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
you see, a lot of immigrants, again, going back to the same point, we try to sell or try to convince people about our experiences.
Yes.
So even in today's session that we had, Shazad, in the afternoon, if I talk about those experiences to people I don't know, they can't relate to it. And if they
Correct.
can't relate to it, it's just useless. Like, why are we even discussing it? And what they can relate is your skills. Okay, you can do this.
Yes.
You can identify issues. You can fix issues. Um, and this is how it is. The market is, if you start saying, I can help you with X,
Yes.
do that, it will work without
Well,
fail.
Correct.
I know there's a suggestion about Shazad, you should start your own consulting firm, but maybe it's this consultancy mindset um, in terms of problem solving that, when you're meeting with the companies, like, yes, they're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them.
As
And in
well,
some
yes.
ways you're doing a consultancy evaluation of that business and how you can make them better,
Correct.
and how your skills match up. So maybe it's part of it is just the mindset that you've taken is what our viewers can
Yeah.
consider.
I think the thing for me is, if I get that interview, I know I'll land the job.
Yeah,
Yes,
That's
yes,
it for me. Get
yes.
me in the
It's
door,
getting in the
and
door.
no one can throw me out.
Right, there we go.
That's something.
Right, but
That's
it's
something I
getting it's
know.
getting in the door. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it comes down to, Canadian experience or overqualified.
Yes.
The words that they say without saying it, right?
Mm, mm,
yeah. Let's
mm.
start. Let's start writing about it. I think Anju is already with me on that, and I'll be more than happy to write things. We can write like letters to editors, for instance. Um, Not many immigrants do that, unfortunately. I mean, we get too bogged down into our own daily
You you're
routine.
you're trying to survive. Most of the immigrants are in survival mode, right? So,
Yeah,
do they really want to spend time in writing? Do they really want to spend time,
Mm.
working for someone like CMO and giving their time for free? They've come with so many different agendas.
yes,
It's survival for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, we all go through a phase, and I've seen like maybe very few in my past 20 years of experience coming and back and forth in Canada, very few people going back. Although there are numbers that a lot of immigrants go back, but they
Yeah.
never come with that long-term vision in their mind, I would think. Anybody who is here, it's such a beautiful country. People are fascinating. They are welcoming. Otherwise, also the system is nice. The your kids go to school, and they do things that they would never had thought of doing.
Mm.
Such as ice hockey uh, and stuff. So. I, I mean, I have two daughters, and they both love Canada, and they lived in Canada when they were little, but for the past 16 years they were not in Canada. And they would love it. So ultimately, how do we approach this whole reinventing or our own career stuff is concerned?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, Canada is a
I would like
beautiful
to,
country. You
yeah,
can't take that away. You
yeah.
cannot take that away.
Yeah, and I would like to really conclude this discussion by saying that what we have to do, as Shazad rightly said, we have to start building our network even before we are here. And if we have already landed, and there is someone,
It's never too late. It's never too late.
it's never
This is
too late.
just
Right.
You have to start.
It's
I
never too
mean,
late.
just seeking a job opportunity would not help. Like
It's
as
not
she
going to
said,
help. Yeah.
she's new in Toronto and she's looking for a job. Fine, but what is your strategy? If you don't have those two or three tools, then it will be difficult. I mean, you will eventually find it, but it will be difficult. So you want to suffer and then find those job opportunities, or you can, because it's easier for younger people. This is
Yeah, much
my
for
personal
sure.
opinion.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
For more experienced people, it is more challenging. So for them, my vote goes to Brent. Talk to Brent, and he will tell you how to start your own business and network within the business community, because this is what he has been doing for years. And if you're looking for job, perhaps LinkedIn and ATS resume are the two things that you
Then
would
I
need.
would talk. Then I would talk to Hamad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then.
But
So yeah.
ATS resumes are very complicated.
It,
Everyone has their own version. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
Hmm.
you
it
know.
it may be, but your certain keywords
Yeah. Keywords.
uh,
Yeah.
I have to be there. So I just
Yeah.
saw a resume from someone who spent money on it, but it was piece of crap. So unfortunately, this is also happening in this part of the world that people are not providing professional service. There's some big names, quote unquote. So
Yeah.
with that, thanks everyone for joining
Thank
in.
you for
You
having
have
me
been
here.
fabulous
Thank you for sharing your
viewers,
story and
and
your journey,
Azad, big
Shazad.
clap to
It's a
you.
pleasure.
It's
I'm
my
I'm
Pleasure.
pleasure.
sure
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Ahmad.
will invite you again for another
With pleasure.
fireside show, the way it is, and see you in next 15 days. Back onto the show with a new topic around immigrants and how do you reinvent yourself. Brent, you want to say some last words?
No, I just want to thank Shazad for coming onto the show and telling us about his journeys and lessons learned, and wish him all the luck, and we'll stay connected. And
It'll be a pleasure.
yeah, absolutely.
And whoever is here, please connect with each other because this is the opportunity to know more people who can who can be your connection really. So I'm sure we all will be able to connect with each other. And
Absolutely.
I'll end the broadcast. Guess you kind of kindly stay for a minute and we'll chat a while and then we say goodbye.